Okay, now that we are connecting, let's go ahead and before we do anything, let's add a few rows to that example database we just made. So we're going to say use example 1, and if you recall, we created a person table. We inserted a few people, Bob, Fred, and Sally. Let's see if it works. So there we go. So now if we go into like Toad or some sort of visual browser, there's a little ribbit there. We go to the example 1 and see that they're now in there. Anyway, let's go back to the tutorial. Now this is just the first one that came up, but honestly they're all about the same. They're always going to show you MySQL_connect, and you put the host, the username, and the password, so it connects to the database. Then the next thing that they'll show you to do is to select which database you want to use. None here. Go down here, and the example of the database that we used, we called it example 1. So let's go ahead and try that. Echo connected to example 1. Now we'll try that. See if it lets us do that. Oh, good. So we connected to the instance of MySQL, and we connected to the specific database inside that called example 1. So let's go back to the tutorial, and once again they're all pretty similar. So they're going to show you how to create a table inside of here. I guess we could have done it here, so you can see that they connected, they selected the database, and then there's a command called MySQL query, where basically they just did the exact same thing we did a moment ago, but we did it in the command prompt. So next, Alright, key. They're explaining a little bit about why they created the table that way. But what we want to get to, they're going to show the exact same thing. So use MySQL query again to insert it. Once again, we did that with the command line. I guess we could. Let's go ahead and just demonstrate that. So we're going to go MySQL query, and then we'd put in our little close that off. Let's look at their example. Most of the stuff, honestly, you just so by calling MySQL query, it's basically like just pasting something into the command prompt, but you're doing it through PHP. So let's see here. Insert person 2. And we're going to say 4, and we still say Pablo. I don't know. Pablo. Save that. And let's echo sign out. So echo Pablo inserted. So let's go back. We will refresh it. Looks like Pablo was inserted. And check it. We'll go here and we'll hit F5. There we go. It took a moment. But you can see that we're interacting with the database through these commands here. So the next one that will probably show us how to retrieve data, and all we do is you're going to say, let's just paste this out. You can see they connected, they selected the database, they ran the MySQL query where they selected data, and then whatever came back from it, they'll put in a variable called results. And then they're going to go ahead and run it through this other function that will print it out one at a time. So let's go ahead and do that first part. Now the query that we want, and we're going to get rid of this, we don't want to insert Pablo every time. is select star from person. So if we were to run that in command prompt, you would see that we'd see who's in there. If we were to run it in Toad, paste it. We'll, see, it's in there. So you can see that in all these different cases, like we're just using different ways to connect into the database, but we're using the same underlying SQL. This is SQL, Structured Query Language. And it's going to allow us to select people. So we can begin adding qualifiers where name equals Fred. Execute that, and only Fred comes back that time. And we'll get more into the details of SQL later on, but the point is that in all these different places where you can connect to the database, we're using the same code. For just the commands that we use to execute is a little bit different. So let's go back to this one. We'll go ahead and we will I'll copy that. Now, interesting. So what this will do is it's going to fetch the first row. So we're going to say name and ID, because those were the two that we had. Oops. And let's go ahead and echo BR, so the HTML, it goes to the next line between these. Let's see what happens here. Is it going to work? Great. So you notice that it's doing Bob each time, and the reason is we're just selecting the first one. We go ahead and we can select the next one, and save that, and we get Sally. Now the way that we will do this is, where is we at here? You'd want to put this in a loop. Let's see if this example has a loop here. Aha, in the while loop. So what you'd do is you'd say while. Here, let's get rid of that. Because we don't want to actually, because we don't know how many rows there would be, so we'd say while there's a new row each time, I want you to do the following. A little bit nicer. We'll save that. Anyway, so you can see it goes through all of them. So the point is that you know, there's different ways of interacting with the database. The Toad command line, you can see that we're interacting with it with PHP, and all the underlying SQL is the same.